We live in a world that dictates success is a hunt. We are taught that happiness is a target to be captured, and that our actual worth is measured by our constant, grinding exhaustion. To see what this mindset looks like in practice, look at this solitary figure. He is furiously rowing a small boat upstream against violent, fast-moving rapids. He is sweating, struggling, making zero forward progress, and looking up at the sky asking why life has to be so difficult. 2,500 years ago, an ancient philosopher named Lao Tzu looked at the human condition and offered a radical alternative. He wrote a manuscript called the Tao Te Ching, seen here with its original vertical text and red annotations, and then promptly disappeared into the mountains. If Lao Tzu were standing on the riverbank watching our exhausted rower, his advice would be incredibly simple. Stop rowing. Drop the oars. Let the river do the work. Our struggle doesn't actually move the boat. It anchors it. When we abandon the forced effort that causes our suffering, we finally align with the massive existing momentum of the river. This concept is called wu wei, which roughly translates to non-doing. This does not mean laziness or sitting around doing nothing. Look at these jagged, opposing lines. This is forced effort. Wu wei is the moment those lines smooth out and merge into a single unified stream. It is supreme efficiency, aligning your actions with the natural flow of the universe. Modern psychology calls this the flow state. Look at Virat Kohli here. When an elite athlete hits a boundary, they aren't consciously calculating the speed of the ball or the angle of the bat. If they stop to think, they would miss. They operate in a state of quiet focus, where the action simply happens. You find the exact same principle in the Bhagavad Gita, defined as Nishkam Karma. When Lord Krishna advises Arjun, depicted here on his chariot, he tells him to perform his duty without any attachment to the reward. This means action without fear of the outcome. The Buddha called it the middle path. Like tuning an instrument, if a string is wound too tight with excessive effort, it snaps. If it's too loose, it makes no music. Peak performance requires perfect, relaxed tension. Across all these philosophies, the mechanism is the same. The ego, the part of you that says, I am doing this, has to step aside. When the I vanishes, a much greater, natural energy is free to act through you. Modern society is terrified of empty space. We fill calendars with back-to-back meetings, we cover blank walls with art, and the moment we have silence, we pull out phones to scroll. Lao Tzu offered a paradox to explain why this is a mistake. Look at this rotating clay cup. We spend all our time focusing on the clay itself. But the cup is only actually useful because of the empty space inside it. The void is what holds the water. This physical rule applies directly to our lives. If you want to grow, you have to clear those glowing blocks in your schedule. If you want to build a genuine connection with someone, you have to leave empty silence in the conversation for them to speak. The empty space is where the actual living happens. When our minds are full of anxiety and overthinking, it is like a glass of muddy, swirling water. If you try to force the water clean by reaching in and grabbing the dirt, you only stir it up more. The only way to clear it is by doing nothing. By simply letting it sit, gravity does the work, and the water becomes crystal clear. True intelligence doesn't come from cramming your brain with endless information. Real innovation is born when you intentionally create the quiet, empty space for new ideas to form.
From childhood, we are handed a very specific blueprint for strength. We are told to be a rock, be rigid, be aggressive, guard your opinions, hide your vulnerabilities, and whatever you do, never yield. But a rock has a fatal structural flaw. Because it is completely rigid, it cannot adapt. When sudden massive shocks hit, a lost job, a broken relationship, an unexpected crisis, the rock cannot bend. It fractures. It breaks permanently. The Tao offers a completely different ideal. Water. Water is radically humble. It doesn't fight gravity. It naturally seeks the lowest possible point. But watch what happens over time. A slow, steady drip of the softest substance on Earth will eventually cut straight through the hardest rock. Because water has no fixed shape, it never breaks. Pour it into a narrow tube, and it becomes the tube.
Force it into a crack, and it fills the crack. It adapts to any obstacle in its path without ever losing its core nature. By choosing the persistent, yielding softness of water over the fragile rigidity of a rock, you stop fighting the current. You become unbreakable against whatever storms life throws at you. Lao Tzu left behind 3 practical tools for daily life, which he called his 3 treasures. The first is compassion. When you only fight for yourself, for your own ego, wealth, or status, you live in constant fear of losing those things. But when your focus shifts from I to we, that personal fear vanishes. Connecting to others' pain breeds genuine courage. The second treasure is simplicity. Look at this treadmill of wanting more. A new phone, a better title, a bigger house. As long as you are running on this loop, you will always feel poor. Simplicity is stepping off the treadmill. It is the realization that you already possess an abundance of what actually matters. The third treasure is humility. We usually picture leaders standing on a stage, barking orders and taking the credit. A Taoist leader operates from behind the scenes. They don't demand attention. They quietly remove obstacles so their team can thrive. An arrogant leader is like a cup that is already full to the brim. If you try to pour in new ideas or valid criticism, it just spills over the sides. A humble leader keeps their cup empty, meaning they are perpetually open to learning. When you aren't fighting for your own ego, chasing an endless list of wants, or demanding status, the external world loses its leverage over you. You stop being a puppet to the rat race because you've shifted your center of gravity inward. This brings us to Lao Tzu's ultimate concept, the uncarved block. You are born like this raw piece of wood, full of limitless, wild potential. But as you grow, society takes a chisel and hammers away at you, shaping you into a very specific, predictable cube. We take these chiseled edges, our job titles, our social status, the rules we impose on ourselves, and we mistake them for our actual identity. We lock ourselves in a cage made entirely of labels and then spend all our energy defending the bars. Try testing this out. The next time you are stuck in a massive traffic jam or you find yourself in a heated argument trying to prove you are right, pause. Notice the urge to force an outcome. Then loosen your grip. Drop the need to control the situation. Living according to the Tao means practicing surrender in every moment, constantly releasing the exhausting illusion that the universe requires your personal control to function. The truth is, the ultimate power of the Tao cannot be captured in these spoken words. The answer you are looking for isn't in the noise. It can only be found in the silence between your thoughts.